public sector organizations face unique challenges in accomplishing complex missions, often with limited resources. Fortunately, cloud computing services are helping public sector officials overcome some of those challenges. But when it comes to modernizing IT applications, agencies are also learning that although a lift and shift approach to the cloud may look like a reasonable solution in the short run, agencies really stand to gain greater value by deploying cloud-based solutions. And here to talk about that today are Rob Cummings, Senior Director for Platform Engineering at Slalom, and Rahman Imtranur, Senior Solutions Architect at the Worldwide Public Sector for AWS. Rob and Rahman, thank you so much for joining us. And Rob, let me start with you. What would you say are some of the common pitfalls of a lift and shift approach to moving applications to the cloud?
Yeah, sure. I would say applications that are built for the data center, they tend to assume a more static and a more known environment. And this has implications around the application architecture, how the application is deployed, how the supporting compute is managed and maintained. When these get lifted and shifted to the cloud, which is a much more dynamic environment, typically you find a minimum amount of adaptation done to make it work in that cloud. And that dynamic nature in the cloud, which is a benefit and a feature for cloud native apps, tends to introduce brittleness into the applications you've lifted and shifted. And it's not because people are trying to do a bad job or just the minimal amount of work, but there tends to be a sense of urgency or a large number of apps to move to the cloud because you're trying to get out of a data center, for example.
And Rob, just to follow up on that, can you talk about your practical experience working with public sector agencies where they ended up actually having to rebuild their applications after trying to move it directly into the cloud?
Yeah, sure. So for the past 4 years, I've been working on a program where an agency did at some point in the last 10 years, lift and shifted a 20-year-old application into the cloud and had begun efforts modernizing it around the edges of the application, the low-hanging fruit, right? And they had multiple different vendors doing pieces of that. We came in and took a look at that and took over that entire ecosystem and saw that legacy environment was still holding the core functionality of the application, and deployments on it took weeks. It would take, certainly days just to deploy a single environment if everything worked right. And so if you had a bug or you needed to ship a new feature, it was challenging. And then when it ran into problems, it required, a few folks with some subject matter expertise to really dig in and understand it. And so, yeah, so what we did is, we took a look at it. This is a standard 3-tier application. Let's tackle those hard bits and modernize. Do the hard work, modernize it, and let the agency benefit from that.
And Rahman, I would imagine that rebuilding complex applications where there's really a lot of players connected to a single application, that, that in the case of federal agencies, rebuilding those can be really a daunting project. What's your argument for why agencies should really just consider adopting a cloud-native application and service from the beginning?
Right. First of all, let me start by saying thanks for having us. And we can say that government organizations face unique challenge to accomplish complex mission with limited resources. When we talk to the leadership team about operational resiliency, we often discuss how citizens' expectations of governments are constantly changing. They expect their interaction with the government to be predictable, simple to navigate, and comparable to their experience to the commercial market. The application that agencies need to build today are vastly different than that in the past. They need to scale quickly to potentially millions of users, manage petabyte of data, manage petabyte, if not exabyte of data, and respond in milliseconds. On the other hand, agencies are running their mission-critical workload on legacy system, facing high cost, skill shortage, and finite scale. Application modernization has become essential for organizations of all sizes and is key to helping them achieve their mission to deliver service faster and drive new innovation for their constituents. To meet the need of the constituents, public sector organizations across the globe are adopting AWS. We are seeing AWS Cloud make significant difference in their modernization effort with the container and serverless service. AWS has the most operational experience and have significantly more service feature within those services than any other cloud provider. From infrastructure technologies like compute, storage, and databases to emerging technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence, data lakes, Internet of Things. This makes it faster, easier, and most cost-effective for agencies to move their existing workloads to cloud and build nearly anything they can imagine. In fact, COVID-19 pandemic has been a great accelerator of modern cloud-native application, and agencies that embraced AWS and cloud-native application proved more responsive. They were able to continue operating remotely and serving their customer, demonstrating agility, scalability, and speed.
Well, Rob, talk to us a little about how working with AWS as one of its premier partners has made your work with agencies easier, and how has it helped them achieve better outcomes?
Yeah, from a premier partner perspective, working with AWS is, it's an easy, low friction experience for us, right? We're able to get direct access to engineering teams that are building the products that underlie AWS when we have in-depth questions or we have feedback on new features that we need, and they are very responsive and love talking to us. We're able to quickly escalate issues we're having, especially a production issue, and get help from AWS. Even when it's not strictly an AWS issue, they dive in and are able to help us. And they're also great at proactively reaching out to us to coordinate, when there's security patches that need to be applied across a fleet of servers or other updates coming out, and they help us understand what's coming down the road and help us prepare and help the agency prepare.
And Rahman, I'd be interested in your perspective from the other side of the ecosystem, if you will. How is working with firms like Slalom helped AWS deliver better results for federal agencies? And what would you advise agencies as they continue to think about modernizing their applications going forward?
Well, AWS has the largest and most dynamic community with millions of active customers every month and more than 100,000 partners from over 150 countries. This includes independent software vendor, SaaS provider, as well as system integrator like Slalom. They are building every imaginable use case on AWS. There is a real network effect when you use and build on AWS because every customer has the opportunity to benefit from all the collaboration and feedback we get from our customers. And when you're looking for a partner to help you in your modernization journey on AWS, you don't have to look far. Slalom, a global technology consulting company, is an important partner for AWS, having deep expertise in delivering quality solutions and services in public sector. Their approach to any project is holistic and has a proven track record in providing innovative technology service to our customer, helping them accelerate their transition to the cloud and leverage the vast portfolio of AWS service to drive innovation. They bring speed, accelerator, and expertise to our public sector customer to ensure agencies can deliver solutions that drive efficiencies, reduce costs, and ultimately meet their mission to providing digital service for the country's well-being.
And then, Rob, last question for you. And as we look forward, what final lessons or advice would you offer to agencies as they consider how best to modernize their applications in today's cloud environment?
Yeah, something I get asked a lot. I would say lift and shift can absolutely make sense if you're under a deadline to get out of a data center or hosting facility. It's being decommissioned and you have a lot of apps to move. Absolutely kind of lift and shift, get it over there, and then assess what you need to modernize. It can also make sense if you have a team that is new to using the cloud. It reduces that cognitive load a little bit for them to get up to speed on everything that cloud offers. They have some infrastructure they're familiar with, and they're learning the new platform at the same time. I would say if you have like in our case, a 20-year-old application or an older application that is indeed customer facing and mission critical to your agency, and is something you want to continue to support and enhance, it's time to look at modernizing that. Whether it's as part of the shifting to cloud or immediately after, that's going to be needed in order to really get the benefits that the dynamic nature and scalable nature of the cloud can give you. It also will give you access to talent, a greater pool of talent from, say, the commercial space that are used to working on these modern cloud native applications that maybe you wouldn't have access to before.
That's a great point about the talent component of the technology moves that agencies face. I appreciate your mentioning that as well. Well, Rob Cummings and Rahman Imtranur, thank you very much for joining us today, sharing some of your insights really about some of the best practices for modernizing federal agency applications. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.